All right, I'm Marlo from ACCO. I'm just going to go over some of the plumbing that we put in this building. This has all been saw cut and put in brand new and tied into an existing plumbing line right outside this door. Here's an end of the line clean out here. The mop sink, 2 floor sinks, and a floor drain are all put in new. We have isolation valves on the water, on the recirc line, disconnects. So this is the end of the line clean out. It ties into the existing sewer line that runs through the building. The mechanical room plumbing underground is all brand new. An existing break sink over here ties into this line. And it all ties into an existing sewer line in here. Okay, so right next to this drinking fountain, we have an end of the line clean out here on the floor. This, all the plumbing underground for these bathrooms right here is put in new. And this, from the end of this line clean out right here, it goes straight to the lower level with a riser behind the drinking fountains right here that picks up everything inside the plumbing chase. And under the slab, there's 2 branches that come off to pick up the lavies. And all this plumbing has been put in new underground here. Okay, here we are back in the upper level men's ADA stall. And we have a hot and cold water shutoff valves here with the trap primer, water hammer arrestor, and these will shut off the men's and women's restrooms, lavies, and the human resources break sink. We have in the ceiling over here, above the lavies in both restrooms, a thermostatic mixing valve that is tempering the water for just the hot side of the lavies. And it'll be just the same in the women's side. And there's isolation valves on either side of that, and those will only shut off the hot water to these. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the existing sewer line that was here and the way the plans drew us to plumb this and the way we did it different. The plans, unless they're changed on the as-builts, show us tying into the existing sewer line in a couple different spots. And once this was saw cut and removed, it was not the right way to go about it. The sewer lines were in pretty bad shape, so we took one sewer main in and replumbed this whole bathroom, both sides, men's and women's. So there was existing air ducts underneath us right here that have been filled in with slurry, and all the new plumbing went in because the old sewer line was pretty well rotten. The only thing tied into the old sewer line is that mechanical room and the existing break sink and human resources. And when we go downstairs, I can show you guys where that comes in. You can look at an access door and see where that existing sewer line is. There's an end of the line clean out right here by this drinking fountain. From that clean out right there, this line goes straight to that wall and goes to the lower level, out that cinder block wall to the lower level. So what it actually was doing is it's inside what used to be one of the air ducts. So goes through there, that got foam wrapped full of slurry. So that is the new sewer line. The existing sewer line went out into the hallway, which we were never supposed to get out there and touch that. So that's the sewer main. Comes in, a riser comes up just behind in this wall in the chase, just behind the drinking fountains, picks up all the carriers and underground, because the urinals are so low, they stay underground and come up to each urinal. And then out where just short of the floor drains, we had 2-inch branches that go out to pick up the lavies, with clean outs out there, clean out here, and a clean out at the end of the last chase in the men's restroom. There'll be a clean out next to that cleans out the 4-inch main inside the plumbing chase. From the clean out that's outside those doors, the existing sewer line goes from that clean out in a straight line to outside to the lower level. And right now, just the mechanical room and that human resources sink are the only things coming through this existing line. Okay, so these drinking fountains right here do have a filter installed right here in the corner of this. It's really easy to change out and get to. There's 4 screws on the bottom of this to remove. This whole panel will come off, and you will find an angle stop in here. Turn off the angle stop and unscrew the filter. It'll fall right out and put a new one in. Go ahead and replace these filters annually, and there's a spot right on them to put a date on there so you'll know. You guys can keep it in your logbook. Okay, we are in the upper level Board of Supervisors restroom, and I'm just going to go over a little bit how the plumbing in this under this floor is tied in. This plumbing is in the 911 call center right now, and we did pretty minimal work down there just to relocate some of the shower and toilet drains. The existing water lines come up in this wall right here next to this sink, and it is the end of the line for the domestic cold from downstairs, and it is where the domestic hot water turns into the return line. And right above this sink are 2 isolation valves accessible through the ceiling tile on the adjacent side of this wall. Okay, so we're in the room where the isolation valves are at here for the Board of Supervisors restroom, the upper level. And anywhere we put isolation valves, we put a label on the T-bar grid, and it should be located on the easiest tile to remove. Okay, so this is the main water line coming into this building from underground from B building. And it comes in, we installed a new 2.5-inch ball valve. This will shut off the upper and lower level, including 911 and excluding the A addition or new A. That has its own water line coming into it. We also installed a new water meter that is tied into the BMS here. So there shouldn't be any reason to go up there and read this manually. Downstream of that is another isolation valve here on the main, labeled. There is also an isolation valve right here where this label is. This branch right here will shut off the restrooms. Cold only, and I've got another one. I put an access door in the ADA stall in here we'll go look at, and that's just like the one upstairs. Okay, we are in the lower level men's ADA stall. There's an access door in here, has the same thing, domestic cold water isolation valve that is going to shut off men's, women's, all the plumbing, lavies, and everything in here. There is also a domestic hot valve that will shut off the hot to the lavies. Okay, so what we're trying to look at here is the existing 4-inch sewer line that comes down the corridor of the upper level. It's what the mechanical room and the human resources sink is tied into. And then there is a new 4-inch sewer line that ties into that. That is the upper level restrooms only, coming in off that and tying into the existing, where the existing sewer line came through the retaining wall. Right. And it goes through the ceiling here and ties in downstream of the carriers that are in the chase on the lower level. Okay, so we're standing about in the center of the corridor on the lower level, OES, and there's a 2-inch ball valve in the ceiling. We're not going to look at it right now, but it is there, and I'll have the grid labeled. And that is the 2-inch water main that goes up to feed the upper level restrooms, mechanical room, and human resources. It will isolate all of that. Everything new on this construction, except for the single restroom for the, what are the board members?
That's 911.
No, the upstairs shower, bathroom.
BOS
yeah,
shower.
The BOS shower. Everything else would be isolated from this valve right here. So the mop sinks, both mop sinks that we put in new here have isolation valves to them. It's probably not going to be on the original set of plans, but I did put it on the as-builts because mop sinks don't have angle stops. If you needed to change out that faucet for any reason, I added valves on the hot and cold in the ceiling just above both mop sinks.